So what I like to do on this video here is kind of use Excel to do some sample problems here. So some things we can do is this question here says the numbers of regular season wins for football teams in a given season are given below. Determine the range, mean, variance, and standard deviation of the population set. Now, when it comes to variance and standard deviation, there's two different formulas, one for population and one for sample. The sample, the formula on the bottom is slightly different. It divides by, instead of by the sample size, it divides by one less than the sample size. So the standard deviation of a sample and the variance of a sample is slightly higher. So it's important to pay attention whether we're dealing with a sample or a population. So notice how this one does say population data set. Now, when it comes to range and mean, it doesn't really matter. Variance and standard deviation does. So remember, we have our 10 scores here, and notice how there's this little icon to the right. This is the icon we can use to click to export out to Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and just export that out to Excel and open up the Excel spreadsheet. So this is our Excel spreadsheet. So here's our data. And again, on yours, you may have to enable editing, but once you enable editing, this is your data. I went on and typed this into my Excel spreadsheet just to help you kind of keep it organized here. But want to find range, mean, variance, and standard deviation. Remember, range is the max minus the min. So one thing you can do, there's several ways of doing this. For that is if you click on data, let me see, let me go ahead and highlight, well, click on data. Yeah, let's go ahead and highlight the data because we got some other things here. Hit sort. It should put them in order from largest to smallest. So I hit data and then this A to Z kind of makes it go from smallest to largest. Now, to do the range, you could type this in using a calculator type of format. You can go use the equal symbol, then you can type the formula in. In the formula, you could type in 15 minus 2, or you could type in the cells A1 minus, I'm sorry, A10 minus A1 if you wanted to. So if I go A10 minus A1, it should give me, or 15 minus 2 would be 13. Or you simply could go equals and you could type in 15 minus 2 and gives you 13. So the range can be done just mathematically. Now, if you didn't want to sort the data, you could also find the min and the max. So if you didn't want to sort the data, you could say, hey, equals, and you could type in MIN, hit enter. Now notice how on this, since we've got all these different fields here, it's kind of confused. So we may have to specify here. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll go to formulas, more functions, statistical. If I go down here to min, MIN, it'll tell me what field do you want to deal with. So we notice how we want to go A1 to A10. So if I highlight A1 to A10, it'll find the max, I'm sorry, it'll find the min of that range. And notice how it does give me the 2. To do the max, I can go back to formulas, more functions, statistical, and I go down to max, and I could highlight then. Notice right now it's still like C7. So if we highlight A1 to A10, it'll kind of do this for us and give us the 15. Now, as far as the mean goes, it's the average. So you could type all these numbers into the calculator and then divide by the number of data pieces, which is 10. Or again, if you want, you can use a formula in Excel. So if you go to formulas, more functions, statistical, average is actually the mean inside Excel. So again, it's asking for the field. So if I highlight A1 to A10, it'll average A1 to A10, hit OK, and it'll give us our mean. Oops, I didn't put in the correct box though, so sorry, that didn't change there. So our max, and it's got the average there, so you got to make sure you click on the right box there. Okay, try that again. So if I click on this box here, make sure you're where you want, because you have to kind of make sure you locate where you want the answer to be. So click in a box, click on function statistics average, and notice it should do it here now. A1 through A10, hit OK, and it should give you the average of 8.1. Now, unlike the graphing calculator, variance can actually be done rather easily using Excel. So if we go to more functions, statistical, if we go down to variance, which would be VAR, so notice how there's a VARP and a VARS. We want population variance, so we want to click the VARP one. Again, we have to tell where's our data at. So our data is from A1 to A10. If I click on OK, it'll give us our variance. Now remember, the standard deviation is the square root of that answer. Or again, if we want, we can actually find the standard deviation by using formulas. So go statistical standard deviation, and I think it's SD or something like that. So STDEV. Notice how there's this STDEVP and an STDEVS. So this is standard deviation population. This is standard deviation sample. So we want to click this population one. Again, we want to highlight our field in that we want, and it'll give us our answer of 4 point. And again, remember, since this all goes out to the ones place, all these mean, variance, and standard deviation should be rounded to the tenths place. So technically, this 21.49 would probably be rounded to 21.5. And our standard deviation, 4.63, would be rounded to 4.6 based on the guidance in our book. Now, notice again, you can type in to do the mean, you could just do equals and you can spell out average. Start spelling it. Notice how average is there. So double click it. Notice how it's now asking for the field. I can actually type the field in A1, A10, A1 colon A10, close the parenthesis. I can also just type it in that way. Variance, I can hit the equal sign and start typing VAR. We want VARP, double click there, and then I want A1 to A10. So that A1 colon A10, and then close parenthesis, it should do it that way. Standard deviation, again, I could just hit the equal sign and start typing ST, notice how DEV population, if I double click that one, then it's just asking for the field. So if I go A1 colon A10, I can also get it that way and it'll give me the same answer. So there's a couple of different ways we can do these without having to put them into our graphing calculator. So Excel has some strategies there to do range, mean, variance, and standard deviation.